Hello guys, I am Gins and this is my R32 GTST. Kind of did a little something crazy and unorthodox. I want to teach you guys how to do this. That's right, we have a LS in a Nissan Skyline. Alright people, so this is my first video on my build process and how to literally make a GTST LS powered, practically a whole swap of bolt-on. Literally, like, I've gone through a lot of research, trial and error, and I gotta say that I figured out pretty much the easiest way of dropping this in. And before anybody mentions anything or comments, no S chassis parts. This is all R chassis parts. Obviously not the swap mounts, but yeah. So this is an LS1 aluminum block 5.7. I do have an iron block being built. It will be in my hands soon, so this one will be out and sold. Now the kit I have is a KE conversions. I powder coated mine silver to match the Nismo bits I'm going to buy for the suspension and whatnot eventually later on in the line. And that goes with the cross member too for the transmission. The transmission to adapt with this is a T56 or TR660 with this kit. The TR660 is going to need work. I have the 6-speed TR660 and I will show you guys later on the modifications you have to do with the KE conversion mounts. It just very simple. Have to bore out the stud holes because there are bigger studs than the T56 studs, and also you got to shallow out the bottom plate of the trans mount. As a matter of fact, let me show you. All right, so here's the mount. It's shallowed out. My buddy Travis from Jaegerworks, he did this and he sent the mount to get powder coated. There's flake in this and it's really nice. This fits on the TR660 great. On mine, I'm running the 2nd gen CTSV trans mount, and it's literally bolt on the chassis, and we're good. The best part about the Tremec transmissions opposed to the 6-speed CD09, the bodies are smaller, the bell housing are smaller. You don't need a swap kit or anything really expensive or fancy. You just pretty much bolt on and go. You don't have to hammer the tunnel. You don't have to finagle with the firewall. The shifter, at least for the 6th gen Camaro, comes up in this factory spot, which is great. I don't have to modify the shifter linkage or extend it, shorten it, kind of set the shifter in the right spot. You don't need to do that with this. This is literally just set up your clutch setup in there to the engine, bolt the engine to the transmission, bolt these puppies on there, and drop it in the car, and you're done. Now on my series of videos is when I get my iron block, I will bolt on the clutch. I will do the clearance for a throttle bearing because it's all centric throttle bearings, and you got to get them within clearance. Once that's done, I want to get everything in there. I am running the Holley mid-mount kit, which is pretty much a water pump manifold that houses the AC compressor, power steering, and alternator real tight, meaning right in front of the heads. And it's great for me because I do have a stainless steel turbo kit already for the car. It's in the trunk currently with a 78mm turbo, and it's all ready to go. I broke everything apart. This was running and idling in hell temperature. It's just ready to pull out for the iron block. But my plan throughout the videos is I'm going to show you guys how to wire a Holley Terminator X to your Nissan Skyline, and from the Terminator X, which pinouts to run, the factory tachometer, and just, you know, the cell light, the water temp, all that stuff is all working on my car. Everything works on the car. As far as the speedometer, Dakota and MSD, they do sell a GPS driven box that has like a little motor in there. You just buy the Nissan speedo cable to it, and you have your speedometer working off GPS, off an electronic box, instead of the speedo cable down to the RB20 transmission, or 25, whatever. I'm going to be doing all that, also including, you know, the AC, how I'm going to run it. I'll be probably setting up a new dryer here with a trinary switch, and also a circuit performance proprietary and standalone harness for the AC system, and all it reads is a signal from the AC unit inside. So my videos will be pretty much the most practical AC just bolt-on car. I mean, you could literally pull this out and not even know it had an LS in it. I didn't have to run a S13 or S14 cross member or any S chassis stuff or S chassis swap stuff, nothing. This is all our chassis things. The biggest concern everybody has that I get asked a lot is the starter. How do I get the starter cleared? The steering column, the steering rack, blah, blah, blah. Do I need to cut the steering rack mounts, move them over 1 inch, 2 inches? Some people do it. Some people run the S chassis stuff and the S chassis LS swap mounts. The block sits too high, hits the hood. The block sits too far forward. You know, you run, it's just blah. You know, like I'm not about it. So, plain and simple, you don't need a mini starter. Run a truck starter, any starter on the LS, and get yourself a GTR or GTST steering rack. Bolt that sucker in with the subframe, and you're done. That's it. Only things you gotta do is you gotta modify the steering column a little bit to work with the GTR steering rack, and then you gotta play with the inner and outer tie rods, because this car is a lot narrower than the GTR, so the tie rods off the GTR might not work. If I get my hands on them, I want to experiment and play with it, but I think I'm just going to lean towards getting the GK Tech, God, tongue twister, GK Tech stuff. You know, and then I will go around telling you guys, go to the junkyard, $2, Denali V6 throttle cable. It is a direct swap, bolts in right there. Just cut the end off, put a little brass stopper on there, and you're done. Like, the throttle cable is all GM also. I'll go around and show you guys how I did that with my future videos. And that's about it, man. I mean, all in all, get yourself the KE conversion mounts, a GTR rack, and drop it all in. If you want to follow my build, know what are the best parts to keep everything together, nice and compact, to keep all the nice air gap around the transmission and the engine, you know, I will do that. The reason I didn't go with the CD09, now that I remember, a lot of people kept asking me, is because the body of the CD09 is a lot larger, and I don't want to modify the tunnel or the firewall. The Tremec bodies are small, they're all the same. The only thing that changes is the tail housing, the bell housings, and the depth of the bell housings. And for me, either or, the TR660 fits perfect. I have a lot of room to reach over it, in it. It doesn't bang around. I am on rubber mounts from KE Conversions for the engine and tranny. And I do expect this engine to rock around, this and that, blah, blah. It does clear the clutch master cylinder. I have a Wellwood with a Siki S13 mount. And yeah, these kids out here getting crazy.